Hello, hello. Happy Thursday. Um, Go ahead and um, say hello in the chat. Tell me how you're doing. Um, I'm just gonna go put the link in all of the places. Um, hey, Valerie. Hey, Jacqueline. Hi, Danielle. Hey, Marissa. So many seniors here this morning. Hey, Cindy. I was able to look at my email just a little bit before we got started today. Um, and I was looking at all of the emails about the Be the Light thing that we're going to do. I guess, is that tomorrow? I guess tomorrow. Um, and I'm super excited. So if you were wondering, is Miss Lindsay gonna show up and say hi? Of course, I'll be there. So I hope that you all are thinking about coming out. You don't have to get out of your car or anything. Just wave. It would be really nice to see all your bright, shiny faces. Awesome. Good to hear that everyone's doing well. Um, I'm doing great this morning. I have had definitely a good day so far. Not much day, I suppose, but definitely good. Um, Man, I don't know if you can hear the birds. I know I talk about them a lot. But there's sort of like a tree just outside my window, and man, the birds are having a good time today. That's for sure. Danielle wasn't able to make it out of bed today. I mean, that's fine. It's one of the nice things about learning from home, right? Is that we get to sort of learn in whatever space is most comfortable for us. And that means that even on those days where we are sort of struggling to make it out of our nice, cozy, warm beds, that we can still show up and see people or get to do our schoolwork or whatever else we need to do. Man, the one thing that I'm finding today, I am just moving a little slower than I would like to be. But maybe that's just a all the time problem. Oh, you guys can't hear the birds. That's fun. They're not always super loud, um, but they have been really loud this morning. The other thing that I've heard several times is like a train honking. Like, what are you honking at? Who is out here on the train tracks? But I suppose trains are out here being trains. All right. So I'm curious, is anyone else going to be going to this Be the Light thing? I know seniors technically you could drive yourselves. Sophomores maybe. I guess we're sort of at the time where you might have driver's licenses. Or you're gonna have your families come out. I suppose they only started sending this stuff out like last night. Maybe you haven't even heard about it yet. Valerie, you're gonna go. Awesome. Yeah, I'm with the fam, with Grandma Eleanor and everything. Yeah, I'll be excited, especially now that you all have been working from home, I'm starting to hear a little bit more about your families, right? See pictures of you as siblings, hear about your families. I'd love to be able to say hi from a distance, wave. Marissa, you'll be there. Awesome. Yeah, I'm hoping we'll have lots of people. I'll be really excited to see some friendly faces. Um, I'm excited to see any of my teacher friends that come. Um, so yeah, I think it'll be really fun. Hey, Alicia. Yeah, yeah. Awesome. Um, so today we are going to do our poem, do a book talk. I'm excited about today's book talk. I actually just realized it's a really good um, connection to our poem for today. So that's exciting. Okay, let's see. Um, so today we are going to. Hmm, man, I'm just like looking through our book talk for today. It's one of my favorites. Um, okay. Um, so we're gonna do our poem first. Alicia, the sun is shining so beautifully today. It's really nice. I looked at the weather today and it said it was gonna be cloudy, but it doesn't look cloudy right now. That's for sure. Um, Alicia, have you been able to get outside a little bit today, or are you just looking through your windows? Okay. Um, so we're gonna read a poem today that we've actually read already on a YouTube live, but it's one of the poems that we're looking at for our honors sophomore poetry unit. It's called "Still I Rise" by Maya Angelou. So I'm going to read it aloud again because you know what? You can never get enough of "Still I Rise." All right. So this is "Still I Rise" by Maya Angelou. You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may trod me in the very dirt, but still, like dust, I'll rise. Does my sassiness upset you? Why are you beset with gloom? 'Cause I walk like I've got oil wells pumping in my living room. Just like moons and like suns, with the certainty of tides. Just like hope springing high, still I'll rise. Did you want to see me broken, bowed head and lowered eyes? Shoulders falling down like teardrops, weakened by my soulful cries? Does my haughtiness offend you? Don't you take it awful hard, 'cause I laugh like I've got gold mines digging in my own backyard. You may shoot me with your words. You may cut me with your eyes. You may kill me with your hatefulness, but still, like air, I'll rise. Does my sexiness upset you? Does it come as a surprise that I dance like I've got diamonds at the meeting of my thighs? Out of the huts of history's shame, I rise. Up from a past that's rooted in pain, I rise. I'm a black ocean, leaping and wide, welling and swelling, I bear in the tide. Leaving behind the nights of terror and fear, I rise. Into a daybreak that's wondrously clear, I rise. Bringing the gifts that my ancestors gave. I am the dream and the hope of the slave. I rise, I rise, I rise. So it's been awesome. I love that poem. And I think it's so wonderful. Um, Especially in times like these where it feels often like things are really hard or challenging. Um, I feel like it's like a pump up song, right? The song that you play when you want to feel good. Um, that's sort of how I feel about Still I Rise. Well, Alicia, I'm glad you can at least see the sun through your windows. That's awesome. Try at least opening up the windows. That's how I have mine. You get some nice fresh air, even when you got to stay inside. Um, so I love Still I Rise. I just think it's such a beautiful poem. And the book that we're going to talk about today, I think of as being um, one of the artists, one of the poets that I think is able to be so wonderful because of Maya Angelou. Um, that whole idea of standing on the shoulders of giants. That's what I feel like this poet is doing. And so this is Counting Descent by Clint Smith. So we have read Playground Elegy and studied it both in our honors class, our honors English 10, and in AP Literature. And that poem comes from this book. Hey, Mrs. Garcia, it is so evocative. It's so good. Every time I read it, I find something new and interesting. So Counting Descent. Playground Elegy is a poem that is in Counting Descent. That's where it was originally published. So Counting Descent is a poetry collection. And I really like this discussion of it. It says Clint Smith's debut poetry collection, Counting Descent, is a coming-of-age story that seeks to complicate our conception of lineage and tradition. Smith explores the cognitive dissonance that results from belonging to a community that unapologetically celebrates Black humanity while living in a world that often renders Blackness a caricature of fear. His poems move fluidly across personal and political histories, all while reflecting on the social construction of our lived experiences. Smith brings the reader on a powerful journey, forcing us to reflect on all that we learned growing up and all that we seek to unlearn moving forward. And I just love it. I follow Clint Smith on Twitter, and he just like this past week finished his doctorate. He gave that sort of presentation, and it's been very fun seeing him talk about it online. He just seems like a really cool dude. He made his children call him Dr. Dad now that he has his doctorate. If you look in his Twitter bio, which is what I'm doing right now, he literally has Dr. Dad. He has like these pictures of what his children have like made him a poster that says "Congratulations, Dr. Dad." It's all very cute. So yeah, it's an awesome. He's a really cool and interesting poet. And actually, the thing that I wanted to share with you all, he is doing a reading and a Q&A on Instagram today. That's part of the reason I decided to share this book today. I'm going to post the link to the tweet in the chat. So yeah, today it's 11 a.m. our time. He's going to be on doing a reading and doing a Q&A. And he's going to be reading from this book, Counting Descent. I'll read the first poem in it today. But I also want to point out, I found this on Hoopla. It's the audiobook. I don't know if you can see that there. It's only 61 minutes. So if you have a spare hour, or if you have an hour of yard work or cleaning or anything else where you might be listening to something, this might be a really good option. It's a really good, interesting book of poetry. It is understandable and really fun. Well, it's sometimes really sad, but it's really powerful poetry. So I really recommend it. So we've already read Playground Elegy, which, like I said, is one of the poems in it. But today I'm going to read the first poem from this book, Counting Descent, and it's called Something You Should Know. So, something you should know is that as a kid, I once worked at a pet store. I cleaned the cages of small animals like turtles, hamsters, rabbits, and hermit crabs. I watched the hermit crab continue to grow, molt, shed its skin, and scurry across the bottom of the aquarium to find a new shell, which left me afraid for the small creature. To run around all exposed that way, to have to live its entire life requiring something else to feel safe. Perhaps that is when I became afraid of meeting anything beyond myself. Perhaps that is why, even now, I can want so desperately to show you all of my skin, but am more afraid of meeting you, exposed in open water. Oh, and I love that poem. I think it sets up so beautifully what the poet does here, right? It talks about this feeling of being afraid of exposing your skin, and I feel like that is what Clint Smith has done here. It's a really exposing work, very personal and just vulnerable. It's a really vulnerable work of poetry. Um, and I think maybe that's what I like about Still I Rise too, is that it's vulnerable in a really interesting way, that I'm sure is challenging to write. I'm sure it's challenging to read, but I think it's one of those things that has connected people really deeply. So, um, hopefully that is something that you all can check out. And if nothing else, I hope that you will check out. Um, if nothing else, I hope that you all will check out his reading today and his Q&A. I'm really excited about that. I think it's like geared towards students and teachers. In his tweet, he talks about that the reason or sort of the way that this came about is that he's been getting lots of requests from classes like ours to participate in their Zoom meetings or their Google Meets. And he just can't do all of those. So like this is his compromise. So hopefully you all get a chance to read some more of Clint Smith's poetry. He's awesome. All right. That's what I got for today. What else do you guys got? What are you thinking about? What are you wondering about? What questions can I answer for you? Miss Garcia, if you're still here, are you gonna go to the Be the Light tomorrow? I know you live a little farther away. I just want to see everyone's faces. Yeah. We got a big day today. We have all kinds of big stuff going on. Not really. It's just school. So yeah. Last thoughts, questions, concerns, wondering about the meaning of life in the universe. Sorry, I'm usually trying not to do stuff like this, but I'm on my phone right now so that I can make sure to follow Clint Smith on Instagram. I follow him on Twitter for sure, but I haven't followed him on Insta yet. No, I do. So there you go. I'm gonna be on Instagram watching him for sure. Marissa want coffee today. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Today and every day. Miss Garcia, not sure yet. Leaning towards yes. You should come. Yeah, taking each day as it comes is so valid though. Um, and absolutely Meaning of Life in the Universe 42. Jacqueline, who got into a car and went somewhere for the first time in a month to deliver face shields. Awesome. Yeah, I've done a couple of outings um, for things like, I don't know, it's all such like random stuff. Things like delivering stuff to friends and family who need it. But yeah, it's been a lot. Yeah, Danielle, the really long book list in my experience never gets shorter. Because for like every book that I can finish, I hear about, I don't know, like 10, 12 others that sound really cool. So that's, I don't know. I don't know what that is. It's just a fact of life, I think. As long as you're reading good books, you're doing well. You watched a play version of Jane Eyre. Gunica, that's cool. How was it? I don't love Jane Eyre personally. I know that that's one that a lot of people really like. That's one of the classics that people that lots of people first find as like a really good book. I don't like it. I don't like Jane Eyre. I think she's annoying. I don't know what that is. Yeah, Danielle, I had to stop putting it all in one place because every time I looked at it, it would be overwhelming. Um, I I had to just like, if I can remember it, if I've heard it enough times, then it must be really good, and that's the book I will read. It was good because it was faithful to the original. Awesome. Ms. Garcia, that's your book recommendation today? Awkward. Um, I know it's like good. I know that Jane Eyre was like a really cool character in the historical context. I get it. I just still don't like it. I don't know. I do think it would be interesting to reread it. I read it for the first time in college, um, and didn't love it, but I don't know, maybe if I look at it, again, I would have a different perspective. But that's also one of my things is like Danielle, you were saying this like 14-page long of book recommendations. I get book recommendations all the time. I mean, I have dozens of books in my house that people have gotten me as gifts or that I've bought for myself that I haven't had a chance to read. And so I don't love rereading books um, that I'm not sure if I'm gonna like love upon rereading. Because if I'm going to spend time reading, I sort of want to spend time reading something new. Of course, there are some exceptions to that. I reread the Harry Potter books sort of often. um, and I reread The Sparrow by Mary Doria Russell this year, which was so good. But that was one of like, for a long time, I probably would have called that like my favorite book. I read it for the first time in high school, and it just was so interesting to me. And I loved it. And so I reread it this year, thinking about like, with like a decade, more than a decade, separating the first time I read it to now, is it still good? And it was still good. It was amazing. Um, so yeah, it definitely like still held up. So I don't really my opinion upon rereading often does not change. So I don't know that I want to reread a book that to see if my opinion has changed. I guess we'll see. Yeah, what I find interesting upon rereading new books is especially when you're able to put a couple years in between. Um, so rereading books that I loved for the first time many years before, I always think is interesting to see what stands out to me in different stages of my life. Um, so yeah, hopefully, hopefully I'll be able to keep rereading some of those like favorites. Um, but I also really want to get through all these books that I have. Um, Danielle, do you ever do audiobooks? That's one of the things that I've picked back up now that we're in quarantine is when I'm doing things like my sewing or taking walks outside, I'll listen to an audiobook. Um, Not of like really intense books where I would want to study or have to like reread passages to get it. But some of those just like more fun books um, have been really good to do as audiobooks. Um, yeah, it's been really interesting. I Danielle, I would. There's a bunch of good free ways to do audiobooks. Hoopla is one of them. There's also the one called LibriVox, which is all books in the public domain. So Jane Eyre, any of Jane Austen's books, um, lots of the Dickens books. Um, so those are good resources. Um, yeah, I did this thing this as we started quarantine. I looked through all the books I had at my house. I figured out all of the ones that I had, and I sort of went through based on the past like 3 years of my reading based on Goodreads. How long would it take me to get through just the books that I have in my home? And it would take me like 3 years. So I need to be a faster reader if I'm gonna make it through all these books anytime soon. Yeah, Alicia Overdrive also is great. Your brother got Dear Martin? Yes. Oh my gosh, I love Dear Martin. Um, does your brother watch the YouTube lives with you every day, Danielle? If so, hi Danielle's brother. Um, yeah, it's such a good book. Um, and then if you're looking for authors to follow, I'm gonna tell you, Nick Stone on Instagram. She is so cool and so funny. I like it. Yeah, you have to get about halfway through, and then it turns into, "I like it so far," to, "Holy crap, this book is amazing." You're gonna love it. You're gonna love it. Okay. Um, so we're just about at the time, where we gotta wrap this up. I gotta get to grading the rest of those annotated bibliographies. I have about a third left, a little bit under a third. Um, so that I should be done with them today, so you should be able to see those scores pretty soon here. He watches them sometimes if he wakes up early enough. Fair enough. Fair enough. All right, so I'm gonna head out, get to work. Hopefully, you all are able to get some good work done today. Um, and I will see you hopefully later today um, in our Google Meet classes. I know that we got some more information like from the school about how the rest of the year is going to go. So during class today, we can answer any and all of those questions that you have about that information. Um, and other than that, I will see you all later. Have a great rest of your day. Always remember who you are, what you represent, and to share your Mustang pride. See you guys later.